Okay, this video is for Drawing Studio, and for the people that are home right now, I'm going to show you what our next project is. It's called lemming. What is a lemming? Have you ever heard of a lemming before? A lemming is a small rodent, looks something like this. There's different varieties of lemmings, but they're mostly, a lemming is known as this creature that commits suicide. What do you mean by that? Well, supposedly, these are little rodents, and in Norway, they occasionally will migrate across the country, and when they get to the ocean, they will swim out into the ocean until they eventually drown. And scientists say, why are they doing this? Well, they think it's because sometimes in years of scarcity or famine, these animals are looking for food sources, and as they cross the country, they'll cross rivers and things and get to the other side. But when they get to the ocean, they don't know that it's the ocean, and they will swim out into the ocean and eventually drown because they can't get to the other side. So anyhow, this has been kind of a little bit of a fallacy. Now you can say, what is a fallacy? The fallacy is that lemmings actually go to the ocean, they dive off of cliffs and kill themselves, and that's not true. This was a fallacy that's been around for many years, but they're not purposely committing suicide. So a fallacy is a story that isn't necessarily true, but it's told a lot. Like, for example, you may have heard, well, ostriches hide their heads in the sand. They actually don't do that. I don't know how that started, but they're known to be this animal puts their head in the sand, but they actually don't do that. So here's a lemming. Now, the assignment is, how are you a lemming or not a lemming? Okay? So a lemming is, how are you not a lemming? So when somebody calls you a lemming, that's usually an insult. It's saying that you are following the group to your own demise or to your own death or to something bad that's going to happen. So how do you not follow the group? So sometimes we have things that people that stand out. You've heard of the story of the black sheep. A lot of people say there's a black sheep in the family, which means that person is bad or something wrong with them. So standing out in the crowd can be negative and positive. So for example, negatives might be the black sheep. You know, you're not as good as other people, or you're the rotten apple, or you're the bad seed. These are common terms associated with people that stand out of the crowd. Or they could be positive, like you're the leader, or you don't follow the crowd. So what you're going to ask yourself is, how do you stand out in the crowd? Okay? Now, here's a bunch of cartoons that have to do with lemmings. I happen to look up lemming cartoons, and there are tons of cartoons that are associated with lemmings, and I'm gonna kind of rifle through those. If you like them, you could freeze this video and just look at them. I think they're pretty funny. There's a variety of lemming cartoons. Here's some more. This one, if you look close, you can see why there's one lemming that's smarter than the other ones. And there's one here that's obviously smarter than the other ones too. And lemming parents. And lemming parents again. Lemming graduation. Lemming tour bus. Sick lemming humor. More bad lemming humor, and so on, okay? We are all lemmings sometimes. I think everybody at one time or another is a lemming. You're doing something you necessarily don't want to do. And why is that? I'll tell you why it is. It's called peer pressure. It happens to everybody, at young to old. You're doing things because the group is doing it, and you don't want to stand out from your group, okay? You do something you don't want to do because you feel it's wrong, or doing something that you don't want to do because it's morally wrong, or doing something you don't want to do because you have higher goals. Everyone's got peer pressure that prevents them from doing the things that they should be doing, okay? So anyhow, here's some funny pictures of peer pressure. Here's the Christmas story where the one boy tells the other boy to put his tongue on the frozen pole, and he gets it stuck, of course. Here's some peer pressure where kids are trying to get that kid to go down this hill first. Here's some laboratory peer pressure, which might be what's happening now in our pandemic. We got scientists telling this other scientist, hey, drink this, it's good for you. And here's some penguin peer pressure. Now, here is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a drawing, and the drawing could be done in pastels, it could be done in watercolor and ink, it could be done in charcoal. Now, here's a picture of some donkeys. And what you're gonna choose is you're gonna use something to symbolize how you feel as you stand out in the crowd. So for example, if you look at this picture, what are some observations you can make about it? Well, I can make a couple. This donkey on the right here, he's definitely not part of the crowd. He's away from the crowd, okay? And he's a different color. So it might say that, hey, I don't fit in with the crowd. I'm by myself over here, and I'm a different color. But I also like this donkey. He almost looks like the light's hitting him. Almost like the light could symbolize he's in the light. He understands things. These guys are kind of in the darkness. So just by using these images, you're portraying a thought or a feeling about yourself and your own perceptions. I think it's really well done. Here's another one. What could this mean? This could mean that everyone else is, does things right, and I do things upside down. Or a matter of fact, this glass, really, when you look at it, it's defying the laws of gravity. The liquid's not coming out of it. And the colors could stand for something. Now, this particular picture to me is a little bit boring. I'm just showing you examples of how things stand out. Now, this could say, hey, I don't stand out that much. I'm a little bit different than everybody else, but I fit in a crowd. At least this could be my group of friends. There's about 10 apples here. Within my group of 10 friends, I stand out a little bit, but I do fit in with them. Or this, I stand out a lot. And since these are running off the page, you're giving the impression that there's many of them. Like the group isn't just 10, it might be hundreds. And I really stand out a lot, but I'm kind of squeezed in. I feel like I'm squeezed in the middle of other people, okay? Here's one where I'm really packed in tight. Here's one where I'm separate from the group again, sort of like the donkey one, but I'm different. Everybody else is an orange and I'm an apple. You've heard that expression, comparing apples to oranges, meaning I'm definitely different. I'm not the same. Here's one where I'm very orderly. I follow the rules. I do everything everybody says, but I'm different, and everybody else is the same. And the way the chairs are pictured here, you get this feeling that there's hundreds of chairs here, maybe thousands. Okay, this could be just a symbolic way to say that everybody else has got their heads covered up or buried in the sand, and my head's pointing upwards. I'm looking at higher goals. I'm sharpened. I've been sharpened. I understand things better. They don't. They want to erase things. They want things to end. I want to create things. So there's lots of ways to interpret this. This could be interpreted a lot of ways. It could be interpreted I'm damaged or I'm different, or I'm elegant and I'm different because I can bend and move. Everybody else is very rigid. Okay. I showed this to students and they said, "What do you think's going on with the fish?" One person said, "They're all after him. They're all looking at him. They're all judging him." Someone else said, "No, he's the leader. They're all listening to him. And he's different color." And now the colors could mean something too. Green sometimes associated with jealousy, but you could use colors that mean, like for example, our American flag has colors that represent things, okay? Now, what could you do to make one of these stand out? Let's say this was your project. What could you do? And I asked students this in class. They said a variety of things. They said I could do all the hands in black and white and one hand in color. They said I could make one hand making a fist. They said I could put a wedding ring on one hand, or I could put a sleeve on one hand, or I could put a bracelet on one hand, or I could make the hand smaller than the others. I could make it a little kid hand, or I could make it a foot. So think about how you can make your thing stand out in the crowd, and what is your composition going to look like? Okay, here's just some photos I found of things that you're standing out. This could say I'm the leader, I'm the colorful one, I'm the brilliant one, and the other ones are sort of the dull followers. Okay, here's some funny ones. Here's a dog over here amongst cats. And this one I think is I want you to do something not quite this crude, but by crude I mean simplistic. But I love the idea of, this one person's got their butt facing you. It's sort of like you're mooning the world and everybody else is following the world. So different ways to portray your ideas here. This is rather simple, but it kind of reminds me of the wine glass where one thing was upside down. Here's a cool looking painting. I love these. You got the one colorful umbrella and the beautiful giraffe standing out into the rainbow sunshine. Everybody else is sort of in darkness here. In a simple but elegant but beautiful picture, the one blue tree. Okay, your guidelines, portray how you stand out in the crowd. So I want you to take a piece of paper and start jotting down your thoughts, because you may have never thought of this. How do you stand out in the crowd? Okay, your composition follows the elements of design in that it has balance and unity and repetition. Okay, you consider the golden ratio. I've got a couple videos on that and how the golden ratio, but basically it means this: you're gonna place your object at the 5/8 portion of your picture. In other words, not directly in the center, a little bit 5/8 of the width over or up. I'll talk about that more later. Media of your choice. You can use pastels, watercolors with pen, or you could even use charcoal, okay? Write an artist statement how your image or images portray how you stand out in the crowd, okay? So first, write up your ideas. Second, you're gonna need to come up, what kind of images am I gonna use to portray that? Am I gonna use still life, objects? Am I use animals? Am I gonna use people? What am I gonna do? So for next class, this is what I want you to have, not Thursday. Come up with 10 different ideas of how for how to represent how you stand out in the crowd. 10 different ideas, okay? So you could use spiders, you could use beetles, you could use flowers, you could use whatever. 10 ideas of the subject, okay? Of those 10 ideas, develop 2 thumbnail sketches. In other words, 2 little sketches, kind of how you plan out laying out this within your rectangular frame, okay? Start thinking about what media you're going to use. Artist statement. Why did you make the choices that you made? You're gonna write a small, like a half-page paper. Why did you make the choice that you made? How does the subject that you choose symbolize how you feel or hope to feel? Now, some people might say, well, I don't feel like I stand out in the crowd, but really in the future, I want to. I want to stand out in this way. I want to learn more things that other people do. I want to understand things differently. I want to live here or there. So think about how you hope to feel, okay? Complete sentences, it's a paper. It's got to be good, okay? Roughly 1 page. Well thought out and articulated sentences. In other words, it should be well written. The artist statement is part of your grade, okay? Here's just some more peer pressure ones. Anyhow, so that's your assignment, and I want to see your ideas sketched up, and I want you to post them on Google Slides, and then you could send me an email and tell me what your ideas are, but you definitely got to do that, okay?